Hello my dear students, welcome back to the class once again. In the previous class, we discussed about different kinds of constitutions like a written constitution, unwritten, flexible, rigid, evolved and enacted constitution. And we even tried to discuss about the differences between written and unwritten constitution. So those who have not watched the previous video, the description I have shared the link of the previous video of this chapter in the description. You can go through it and watch it. So today we will be discussing about the merits and demerits of a written constitution. After that, we'll discuss about the merit and demerit of unwritten, flexible, rigid. So all these constitutions, merits and demerits, we'll discuss today here. So let's start with so it's all about the merit and demerits of a written constitution. First of all, we'll discuss, and after that, the remaining one will continue with it. So merit, advantage, demerit, disadvantages. So let us now discuss about written constitution. What are the merits of written constitution and what are the demerits of an unwritten constitution, one by one. Now the first merit of a written constitution is that it is very clear and precise. Written constitution is very clear and precise. It is free from doubts. It is free from doubts as it is written, as it is in the form of a written book. So there is no doubt and there is no ambiguity in the written constitution. Next one is that a written constitution lays emphasis on the rule of law. It completely emphasizes the rule of law, that you need to follow what is mentioned down in the written constitution. You cannot add anything beyond the written constitution, which is seen in the unwritten constitution. And next one is written constitution is indispensable to federalism. It is not at all. Indispensable means we can say that it is very much important in a federalism, because where two forms of government are there, so powers between both the government, union government and the state government need to be defined clearly. So what are the powers for central government, what are the powers for state government, it need to be clearly defined. So this is one of the most important advantage or the merit of a written constitution. It properly distributes the power between the center and the federal units. Proper distribution of power is seen in the written constitution for union states, union government as well as the federal states. And next one is written constitution protects the fundamental rights of the individual. It protects the fundamental rights of the individual. Fundamental rights, as you know, is very essential for the liberty of the individual. It is very essential for the individual's liberty, and the rights are part of a written constitution. Rights are the part of written constitution. So whatever fundamental rights are given to the citizens through the constitution is very important for the fullest development of human personality. And if it is in a written form, there won't be any doubts and there won't be any confusions. What are the rights of the people? And if it is in the form of a written book, then it will completely be unconstitutional to deprive individuals of any of these rights. Nobody can be deprived of any of these individual rights given to the people, because it is mentioned down in the constitution. Everyone who can go through it, those who want to know about the rights, they can go through the fundamental rights mentioned down in the constitutions of different countries of the world. So nobody can snatch away those rights. Written constitution also protects the interest of the minorities. There are many minorities in all the various countries of the world, so the minorities should not be neglected in any phases of the country's development. So for them, it protects, the constitution protects the interest of the minorities at large. So the constitution is for the entire people of the country, so even the minorities are to be protected through the constitution. Okay, now the next important merit of unwritten constitution is it is very clear. Written constitution is very clear. The ruler, that is the government, cannot exercise power arbitrarily. because all the powers of the government, all the forms of government are clearly defined and mentioned down in the constitution, so they cannot even turn into a arbitrary. Autocratic rule is not at all possible in a written system, because all the powers are defined and they have to follow according to the powers given to the different forms of the government. Now, these are some of the merits we discussed right now. So now, what are the demerits of unwritten constitution? Sorry, written constitution. Some demerits are also there. If advantages are there, then on the other side, few disadvantages will also be there. So, written constitution cannot easily cope with the changes taking place. Like constitution was written long time back, so all of a sudden certain new laws are required. So for that they had to go through a difficult process, right? It need to be passed from both the houses of the legislature, then it need to be ratified by the state government. So it takes a time. It takes a time. That means rigidity is seen in the written constitution. It takes time to bring certain changes for the needs of the hour. So all changes which are taking place cannot be introduced or brought in the constitution very easily. So you know that with the passage of time, changes takes place in the condition of the country. So accordingly you have to bring some changes, amendment in the constitution, which is not at all easily possible in a written constitution. And from time to time, you know that constitution needs to be revised, it needs to be modified, certain changes are to be brought. Okay, so written constitution being rigid is not easily amendable whenever necessities arises. It cannot be easily amended, which arises in certain circumstances. Next one is written constitution fails to cope with the march of time. It cannot move with the changing phases of the time. So consequent changes in the country takes place now and then, so it cannot continue with that. So it needs time, there are certain procedures which need to be followed. So for that it fails to cope up with the march of time, and consequent changes in the condition of the country cannot be brought easily. Okay, then one more is there, written constitution. A written constitution gives more importance. Written constitution gives more importance to written laws. All the laws are written down in the constitution, so it gives more importance to the written laws. The importance of public opinion decreases. So definitely in a written constitution, all the government, three wings of the government or different administrative units, they follow the constitution very strictly. So the public opinion here in this case decreases. So what is my opinion? I want the country to rule in this way. That is not at all possible. That they will follow the constitution, and written constitution clearly defines what are the powers, what are the duties, what are the fundamental rights. So definitely they go through the written laws which are there in the constitution. Now next important thing is that in a country with a written constitution, the country which has a written constitution, okay, customs, traditions and conventions and their values, okay, that are sometimes ignored, because those are not at all included in our constitution. So in a country with a written constitution, custom, tradition, conventions and their values are to some extent little bit becomes hazy in the written constitution. Okay, so completely they believe and follow the rule of law which is mentioned down in the constitution. Okay, so customs and values are of no importance in a written constitution. Though it is there, people follow it, but those are not given much importance in the written constitution. Now let us discuss about the merits and demerits of an unwritten constitution. Merits and demerits of unwritten constitution. The first one we have already discussed, very simple, that is why I taught you. And now next one is unwritten, which is not in the form of book. Written constitution is in the form of book. Unwritten constitution is not in the form of book. So still there are certain merits and certain demerits. So the first important merit of an unwritten constitution is that it is very flexible. Unwritten constitution is very flexible, but a written constitution is rigid, easily amendment is not possible. But here there is nothing in the form of a written record, so easily whenever they want they can bring certain amendments in the constitution. They can easily deal with the changing situation. They can easily deal with the changed condition of the country. Next one, unwritten constitution grows over a long period. It goes on growing and growing and growing according to the situation. According to the situation, it grows over a long period. So I was telling you about written constitution. So written constitution grows over a long period of time. Okay, it continuously grows and it gains in wisdom and maturity. It gains wisdom and it becomes more and more mature. That means maturity is gained in a unwritten constitution. This is some of the important advantages of a unwritten constitution. The next one is there is not much fear. There is not much fear of rebellion or revolution in a country having unwritten constitution. So as it is an unwritten constitution, so there is no chances of any revolt or rebellion, because whenever any changes required, they can easily do it. So there is not much fear of any rebellion to take place in a country. The next one, in a country with unwritten constitution, customs, traditions and conventions receive due importance, which is not there in the written constitution. So once again, in an unwritten constitution, customs, traditions, conventions receive due importance. Importance is gained by it, but in a written constitution, these things are missing it out. Now, let us now discuss about some of the demerits of unwritten constitution. Some of the unwritten constitution demerits. The first one is that unwritten constitution is unclear and ambiguous. It is unclear. Nothing is in the form of written form. So it is completely unclear. It is full of doubts. Unwritten constitution is full of doubts. That means it is completely full of doubts. Okay. It also contains some elements of contradiction. There is always an element of contradiction in an unwritten constitution. It undermines the performance of government. It undermines the performance of a government. Next one is, it is very easy to bring about changes. Whenever they want, any changes can be brought in a political system of a country. Okay. Many undesirable changes takes place, resulting in a lot of instability. Anytime, any type of changes they can bring it, and that brings instability in the country. Because it is not in the form of a written book. So whenever whoever becomes the ruler of the country, they want the country to be ruled accordingly. So whenever they want, they bring changes, and that makes the country system unstable. Next one is, unwritten constitution does not clearly express fundamental rights of the individual. So there is no proper way to express fundamental rights in an unwritten constitution. They cannot enjoy their freedoms. They cannot at all enjoy the freedoms, and they cannot actively take part in a democratic process, because nothing is mentioned. Nothing is mentioned regarding the though they have the fundamental right, they have been given the rights, but it is not in the form of a written form. That is why they cannot easily or actively take part in the democratic process. Therefore, unwritten constitution is not good for democracy. Unwritten constitution is not good for democracy. Next one, and the most important thing is that unwritten constitution is not good for federal state. You know that in a federalism, two forms of government are there. The clear definition of powers, clear distribution of powers between the standard and the federating state must be there. And in a unwritten constitution, that is not possible. It is not at all in the form of a written book. So how to distribute the power? So definitely there will always be a clash. There will always be a clash between the central government and the state governments. There will always contradictions will be there. Okay, there can arise many disputes. There can be so many disputes between the central government and the state government or the provincial government, and in that case, who faces the problem? The country as a whole will suffer a lot. So this is all about the demerit of an unwritten constitution. So we discussed about merit of written constitution, demerit of unwritten constitution. We even discuss about merit of unwritten constitution and demerit of unwritten constitution. So both merit and demerit of written and unwritten constitution we have already done. In a very simple form we understood it. Now next one we'll discuss again about flexible constitution. What are the merits and demerits of flexible constitution? So last time when I started the chapter I told you what is mean of flexible constitution. Constitution which can be easily amended. Which can easily be amended. Okay, that is known as flexible constitution. So now let us discuss about the merit and demerit of a flexible constitution. Merit and demerit of a flexible. Merit and demerit of flexible constitution. Now, the first and the major merit of a flexible constitution is its ability to change easily. Its ability to change easily in accordance with the changes taking place in the society, or we can say that changes taking place in a social and political environment of the society and a state. Changes taking place in a society and a state, political and social changes, it can easily pop up with it. It can easily bring changes in the changes taking place in a social and political condition of the country. Secondly, it is very helpful. Secondly, it is very helpful in meeting emergencies. Whenever certain emergency arises in the country, so if you stick to the law to be followed according to the written constitution, then it will be delayed. Okay, so you need a prompt action to be taken. So at that time, we can meet out emergencies because it can easily be amended. Because laws are there, we can easily amend it and bring it into practice. So easily it will not at all be delayed. That is why it said it is very helpful in meeting emergencies because it can be easily amended. Okay. The next one is, as you know that flexible constitution is dynamic in nature. Dynamic means changing. It keeps on changing. It is dynamic in nature. So there is less opportunity for revolt. There is very less opportunity for revolt. The constitution has the ability to keep pace with the changing time. It has the ability to take a pace, continue with the pace. We keep on tracking the changes taking place in the country. And the people do not feel, the need of revolutionary changes. Revolution takes place in a constitution which is written. You need certain things to be added in the constitution for the social needs or for the needs of the people, but it is not easily done. Government is not ready to listen to it. So in that case, the only way for the people is to revolt. They want changes through revolution, but it is not at all possible in flexible constitution because whatever the changes requires, it can be brought in the constitution through amendment. Then next one. Flexible constitution keeps on developing with times. It keeps on developing with times. It always continues to be popular and remain up to date. It remains up to date and it becomes popular also. Okay. So these are some of the merits of a flexible constitution. The next one, demerits of a flexible constitution. The first demerit of flexible constitution is it is a source of instability. Flexible constitution is a source of instability. It is not stable. Okay, flexibility enables the government in power to give it the desired dress and content. What type the government can bring changes according to their needs and desires. Easily they can bring changes in the constitution. Okay, and that is to some extent is very harmful for the country also. And then it is not suitable for federalism. It is not at all suitable for federation. Not at all. So you know what is federalism? So flexible constitution is not at all suitable for federation. In federation, flexible constitution can lead to undesirable changes in the constitution by a federal government or by the government of federating units. They can be undesirable changes, and that is not at all good both for the central government as well as the state government. Now, this is all about The merit and demerits of a flexible constitution. Flexible, which can easily be amended. Now, the next one we have is rigid constitution. The next one we have is rigid constitution. Rigid. So what is meant by rigid constitution? The constitution which cannot be amended easily. Rigid constitution cannot be amended easily. So this is also very tough process. So now let us discuss about some of the merits of a rigid constitution and the demerit of rigid constitution. The first one, rigid constitution is a source of stability. It is stable. It is a source of stability. It maintains continuity in administration. Number one, it is a source of stability. It is stable and it maintains continuity in administration. It cannot become tool in the hands of a party exercising the power of the state. The party which is in power cannot play with the constitution because they cannot easily bring changes or amend the constitution and at a particular time. Okay, it prevents autocratic exercises of powers by the government. The government cannot become autocratic. They cannot bring desired changes according to the needs and become autocratic. That is not possible because the process of amendment is very tough. And rigid constitution is it deals with federation. It is very good for federation. Rigid constitution deals with federation also. Powers distribution, everything is properly balanced by the rigid constitution. So if you need any changes, then definitely unanimous decision has to be taken by both the central government, that is union government, and the federating states. The next one, demerits of rigid constitution. Demerits of rigid constitution. The first demerit of rigid constitution is that it fails to keep pace with a fast changing social environment. It cannot keep pace with a fast changing social environment. It cannot easily bring changes when required. Because of inability to change easily, at times it hinders the process of social development. It easily cannot be changed easily, so it becomes an obstacle in the process of a social development taking place in the country. It can be a source of hindrance during emergencies. During emergencies, easily you cannot amend the constitution, new acts cannot be passed, so that can be a big obstacle in meeting out emergencies. Then its inability to easily change can lead to revolts against the government. It easily cannot be changed, so there is a possibility that people can revolt against the government. So the rigid constitution can be a source of conservatism. We can say once again, rigid constitution can be a source of conservativeness. It cannot be changed. It is very strict. So it can grow, become old very soon because it cannot keep pace with times. Rigid people, they keep on following the same principle and they become old, but they will never change. That is why I said it can grow, become old very soon because it cannot keep pace with times. So it is always there. You have to lead your life according to the modern life. It doesn't mean we were living in villages, the same life we follow. As the time changes, we also have to change ourselves. Though we are educated, we need to update ourselves. We have to run according to the needs of the time. We never thought we'll be doing this type of video, YouTube videos and all, and reaching out to children. But what to do? It is a need of the hour. So we are now adapted. We have adopted this situation. So we need to update ourselves. We need to learn the technology which is good for us. So this is all about the rigid constitution, merits and demerits. Now, there is a question related to this topic that is difference between rigid and flexible a real one? Is it so? Flexible means easily anyone can bring changes. Rigid means nobody can bring changes. It is not so. Flexible means they can bring changes, but all the time it is not possible. Okay? Rigidity doesn't mean that you cannot at all bring changes, but yes, when time, whenever required, that time you cannot bring it, but it has to follow different procedure to bring changes. Rigid constitution can also be amended, but the process to amend is little bit tough. Easily you cannot bring changes. That is why it is said over here, is the difference between rigid and flexible a real one? So it is very, very simple. You know that flexible constitution can be written, unwritten. Likewise, rigid constitution is not always a written constitution. Britain has an unwritten constitution, and yet it is reflected a degree of rigidity. British constitution is unwritten, but still there is a degree of rigidity in its operation. In actual practice, constitution works at times as a rigid constitution or a flexible constitution and depends upon the nature of distribution of a political power at a given time. It works. It is just a theory. It is just an understanding that it cannot be done. It is very, very flexible. So it doesn't mean that we go on changing it. British constitution is unwritten constitution. It doesn't mean that it is very, very flexible. We can bring changes at any time. It's not so. They are following the rigidity. The rigid constitution are there, but still whenever requirements are there to bring changes, they follow the process. Though it takes time, but they follow it. So that is why the answer is no. Is the difference between rigid and flexible a real one? Of course, it is partial. So one more time, let me tell you, like United States, the Constitution of US is very, very rigid. Constitution of USA is very, very rigid. That is why we can say that till today only 27 amendments have been done. Till today only 27 amendments has been made till today. But however, it has been continuously developing and changing with the help of several other means like congressional interpretations, presidential interpretations, judicial interpretations, and decisions and emergencies of several conventions. They are bringing it certain. They are keeping on adding certain things in the Constitution of USA. But yes, it is rigid. The process is tough. But though as the time requires, as the changing needs of the social and political conditions, they are adding certain changes or they are bringing amendment in the Constitution as a whole. So, my dear children, this is all about the merits and demerits of a written constitution, unwritten constitution, flexible constitution, and rigid constitution. Okay, hope you all have understood it. So you can go through it again. So once again, I am telling you the previous video. You need to watch it. It is given in the description. The link is given in the description. Watch that one. If you have not watched it, watch it, and then you watch this video so that it can be very, very clear for you to understand from the beginning. Okay. In the next class, we'll discuss about the process. We'll discuss the procedure of the amendment. We'll discuss the procedure of amendment. How is the Constitution of UK amended? How is the process? How is the Constitution of USA amended? What are the processes? We'll discuss in detail in the next class, and I'll try my best to explain that part very, very clearly to you. And hope you understand that. It's very, very simple. It needs to concentrate. If you watch it, if you go through it, you'll definitely understand it. And being the student of political science, you need to understand the different process of amendment of USA as well as India and even United Kingdom. So children, so this much for today. And in the next class, as I told you, I'll teach you about the process of amendment which takes place in USA, UK as well as in India. Okay, so till then, take care, stay safe, bye bye.